joined by my friend, academic, and activist with South African Jews for a Free Palestine, Bluen. Joe, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Zukiswa. It is such an honor to be here, and greetings to your listeners, your viewers at home. Thank you for having me with you.
Joe, you're the most Jewish person I know. And when I say that, it means that you're the one person that I know who really practices. You do Shabbat and all that entails. In fact, you had us break bread with you in Tunisia for one Shabbat that we had with you. So what do you say to people who say, well, maybe you're a self-hating Jew, because why are you saying Free Palestine?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do. So let me say, first of all, that my anti-Zionism has really strengthened my Jewish practice.
Okay.
And I'm really grateful for that.
All right. Can I just go back with you? What's the difference between Zionism and Jewishness for our listeners who may not know?
So Zionism is a white supremacist fascist political ideology that sometimes comes out in a liberal form. And it's about 200 years old. And Theodor Herzl is often credited as one of the progenitors of the concept of Zionism. Judaism is a faith that goes back millennia. And I'm sure your listeners who've read the Quran will know this, that
and who've read the Bible.
That Zionism is really a corruption of Judaism and Jewish principles and values. That we also know that there are more Christian Zionists in the world than there are Jews in total. And I think one of the things I always say when people say, how can you be Jewish and anti-Zionist, is that we remember that Zionism kind of, the concept of compulsory Zionism in its current form really emerged as a deeply anti-Semitic impulse. So you see in Europe after the Nazi Holocaust, you see a lot of Zionists in Europe, European elites sort of saying, and British elite specifically saying, we need to finish the job that the Nazi Holocaust didn't finish. So why don't we get the Jews out of Europe and send them to Israel, Palestine? So I think it's bizarre to me that there is this conflation, because besides anything, Judaism is a kind of diasporic religion. We have moved around for centuries, for millennia, and in many of our practices, in our teaching, in our scripture, the idea of a state is kind of, and it's not a state-centric religion. Where the idea is you make home wherever you are, and you work in coalition towards justice. But we're not, the idea of a kind of the state as a unit, any state as a unit, is quite antithetical to Jewish teachings and principles.
Well, I'm really glad to know that you're not an antiseptic.
No antiseptics here.
Joe, you and I were talking. How did you move? Because you went to King David, and King David has been in the news in South Africa for pushing a principal to leave her job at a school called Roedean for apparently because the students were against playing with King David because they fly, for political reasons, and schools should be apolitical. When you had King David, was it an apolitical school? And is King David an apolitical school?
Absolutely not. I think anyone who claims to be apolitical in the face of genocide and injustice and racism is making a deeply political statement. So I think that's the first thing. I think I was going through, in preparation for this, I went through the South African Jewish Board of Jewish Education's constitution. And what's interesting to me is that was amended in 2003. And they changed the definition to define Judaism as Zionism. So we're in this moment, as the kind of war on terror is taking off, as you're seeing this global kind of Zionist Islamophobic movement, and it's only a few years after the kind of International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, which doesn't remember the Holocaust at all, as the descendant of Holocaust survivors and those who didn't survive, I can say for sure it doesn't remember the Holocaust.
It doesn't remember the Holocaust. It doesn't remember the Nakba.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So you're in this time frame, in this moment, where Judaism and Zionism become conflated for a kind of apartheid racist project that is also linked to the war on terror. And I think this is an important thing. It was never apolitical, and it's certainly not apolitical now. It is a feeder school for the Israeli military. It is a kind of ground for settler colonialism in South Africa and in Palestine and in Canada and wherever.
Hold up one moment. When you say feeder school for the Israeli army, explain that. Are we having South African citizens come out of this school and they're going to serve in the Israeli occupational forces and kill Palestinians?
In huge numbers. In huge numbers. We know the Al Jazeera investigation into the so-called ghost unit of elite snipers. Aaron Bayhak, who is a King David alumni, 22 years old, was one of the elite snipers in that unit that was directly linked to genocide. We know that there's a lot ongoing there, so I'm not going to sort of speak too much. But there's a huge ecosystem and infrastructure around setting up systems that facilitate Jewish Zionists joining the Israeli military. And from what I gather, our research has indicated that since October 2023, the groundswell and the extreme escalation in numbers of people who've joined the military who are actually war criminals has just expanded enormously. I don't have precise numbers, but we're working on it. But we do have certainly some names of people and that have shared their own stories on social media, that have filmed themselves doing despicable things that are not just regular belligerence, but targeting children. There is a kind of a whole infrastructure that includes Israeli soldiers coming to visit the school, sometimes doing kind of internships as a part of a propaganda mission that includes regular exhibits and programs that include singing the Israeli anthem in assembly, that includes summer camps, trips to Israel. In grade 10, all King David students are invited to take a trip to Israel where they go and spend some time with the IOF. So it's really I was asked by a journalist not so long ago, do they recruit? And we don't have the exact, there are recruitment fairs, but we don't have the exact details on the links. But what has become blatantly apparent is it's an entire infrastructure designed to feed the military, where your every waking moment, your holidays, your celebration of the Sabbath, all of this is geared towards feeding the Israeli military and settling predominantly in the West Bank, but also in 48 territories.
That's very enlightening, Jo. We are just going to take an ad break, but we'll continue this conversation after the break.
Fantastic.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
For the first time, I can dream again.
The Africa Muslims Agency Orphan Hope Program provides the food, clothing, and basic support needed by thousands of children across the world. Every child deserves a chance at a hopeful future.
For 50,000 trans, you can transform our lives with the AMA Orphan Hope Program.
Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Dad, these Frymax chips are so tasty. Wow, that really takes me back. My dad bought me a Frymax chips every day after school. They were my favorite when I was your age as well. Quality is at the very heart of what we do, and that's why we ensure that every Frymax packet is filled with the beautiful goodness and flavor-packed taste that you've come to expect from us since 1982. Frymax, from generation to generation.
With Ashraful Aid this Ramadan, your zakat changes lives. It feeds families facing hunger, restores dignity to those in need, and brings hope where it is needed most. From food relief to essential support, your zakat reaches communities with care, transparency, and impact. Give with confidence, give with trust. Make your zakat count this Ramadan. Give your zakat to Ashraful Aid. Help change lives today.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
And we're back in studio with Bluen, who is telling us about the shocking news for many of us, because South Africans are not supposed to fight in other countries' militaries without the permission of our government. Has anybody been prosecuted, Joe, from your old school?
No one has been prosecuted yet. And unfortunately, there's been dockets open at the NPA for years and years. And this has not, nothing has come of it, unfortunately. We have a unit looking at it in SAJFP. There are precedents globally of Israeli soldiers being prosecuted. Mm-hmm. And I think I think specifically in South Africa, given what's happened at the ICJ, where we've seen this very convincing case, and quite frankly, what one Bill Shabas, who's a genocide expert, has referred to as the best genocide case in the history of the ICJ, the most well argued. Given that there has been clear illustration of a plausible risk of genocide, what we're talking about, and once you have the link to a plausible risk of genocide that's been established there, and clear evidence of South Africans participating in this genocide. And South Africa has domesticated the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, which means there's plenty grounds for this. But unfortunately, it has not proceeded yet. We are hopeful that we will see this happening not in a short while. Because I think that I don't think prosecution is the answer, but I think the world is too unfrightening for Zionists who are mass murderers.
Thank you, Joe. Now, say a student from King David is observing and has seen this militarization and is seeing the genocide and feels it's... How did you unlearn? You were a head girl at King David.
It's very embarrassing.
Well, it shouldn't be, you have good qualities. So how do you unlearn? How do you tell this young person that, oh, okay, at Hetzilia or at King David, like, okay, perhaps this is not a great way to be? Because I know King David works with, they have sister schools in the township. So you can say, oh, all right, no, they're not bad people. The school is not, a bad school and stuff. But how does a child who is ingrained with that type of militantism and belief that Israel is home, how do they unlearn and undo? How did you do it?
I'm indebted to a lot of people, and books, and I will say, on that note, I think those, I will say a hopeful story is that in the last while, since the Roedean affair, I have had multiple alumni from King David reach out to me and reach out to SAJFP, other members, and speak out online, speaking about the kind of horrors of what they've experienced, speaking about the reprisals they've experienced for speaking out, including harassment in their inboxes and bullying. So I think it's possible to see this. I think for me, and I think they should read your books. Sorry, that's where I was getting, which are really excellent. And Susan Abulhaya. So, I think there's a lot to read. There's a lot on the internet. Anti-Zionist Jews everywhere are speaking out. There's different approaches. There's secular approaches. There's sort of more religious approaches. We have rabbis speaking out. So I think one of the things is kind of exposing oneself to these places, and the other is, to recognize we live in South Africa. Some of the greatest heroes in the world who fought against apartheid, who died fighting against apartheid, it's kind of bizarre to me to grow up in this state and not have an impetus to fight for justice, and also to say many of those were Jewish fighters, and those that fought the Nazis too. So I think it's really a tradition of justice that we need to revisit and hold on to.
Thank you so much for all that. And yes, we need to revisit justice, not just the Jews who might be liberal Zionists, but all of us, and question the type of world that we live in and the type of country we live in if we want a better world. Thank you so much for that, Bluen. We are going to go on a break now, and we shall be joined by Palestinian writer and one of my favorite authors, my top 5 in the world, Susan Abulawa, after the break.
Thank you so much for having me. Greetings to everyone. Take care.
Ramadan Barak.